I'm probably about as excited about our next guest as I've been in a long, long time. I'm a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan, and joining us now in beautiful Ontario, I believe he's at his resort or his cabin, is former first base coach of the Toronto Blue Jays. Tim Leiper joins us. Tim, I told Clark I don't mind filling in for Rod and doing the next couple of shows with Peter Labardius, but you got to give me some Blue Jays, and he gave me the best one possible. So I feel like I've died and gone to heaven, Tim.
Well, that's a good intro. I hope I can live up to that billing right there. And if you've looked excited at this, you must be guys having a slow time right now.
No, not at all. In fact, we're going to get to the Toronto Blue Jays current soon enough. But I just want to say, Tim, that for those more, I guess, maybe casual fans that aren't familiar with your resume, I mean, they obviously know that you were a former first base coach. And I want to talk about 2000. Believe me, we're going to talk about 2015 in a few minutes. But when I went on Wikipedia, there was some stuff on there that I didn't even realize. Like, for example, I didn't know that you literally had a 12-year minor league career between, was it 85 and 96? Something like that?
Yes, that is correct, yes.
And then extensive coaching opportunities all over baseball. But I knew that you were involved in Baseball Canada and Canadian baseball, but I didn't realize how much. 2004 Canadian Olympic team, 2006, 2009, 2013 World Baseball Championships, bronze medal in 2008, 2011, and I think as recently as even a couple weeks ago, you've been involved with Canadian baseball. So how does an American guy from California get so knee-deep in Canadian baseball? I love it.
Well, I've spent over a third of my life here in Canada now, so I think I'm feeling a little bit more Canadian than American. I actually took a picture of my garage the other day when I was cleaning it out I think it was in between Canada Day and Independence Day, and there's a kayak, there's a snowmobile, there's a Canadian flag, and there's a picture of a wolf that was left in my garage when I bought it. So I think I have made the transformation over to being a full-fledged Canadian. But the Baseball Canada thing was great. I came to Canada. My first time I played here in 88 and 89 in London, Ontario for the AA Tigers. And then I coached for the Ottawa Lynx in 99. I eventually got married, had children there, had a family, split up. But during that time there, I met Greg Hamilton, who's the head of Baseball Canada, and we had a 3-4 year relationship. And at one point during our relationship, I just mentioned the fact that if he ever needed help coaching, I'd love to do it. Because at that time I had just got done coaching Jason Bay and had a few other players, and I really liked their team. I didn't realize how many great baseball players came from Canada and how well they did internationally. So he offered me a job on the Olympic qualifying team in 2003. And I've been carrying on ever since. We went to Panama that year. We qualified for the Olympics, went to Athens in 2004. And I've had a really nice run. We're all still together. Ernie Witt's still the manager. Larry Walker has since joined our coaching staff, Denny Boucher, Paul Quantrill, and then Greg Hamilton. So it's really honestly professional. I say it's professionally, but it's really the best thing I've ever done in my life. The Blue Jays thing was awesome. But I feel so blessed that I've gotten to do everything that's possibly good in Canada with baseball. I've been involved with some really good things, and I've been involved with some really good people, and that continues until today, and I feel really blessed that I get to do it.
Well, my co-host Peter Labardius is the single most patriotic person I know, and this guy could talk Canadian baseball all day, so there you go. There you go. So before I start hitting you with the Toronto Blue Jays stuff, I know Lou has a question for you. Fire away, Peter.
Tim, I probably have 1,000, to be honest. I've followed the Canadian baseball program very, very closely for a long time. I've been to World Junior Championships, the 2015 Pan Am gold medal game, and that event is one of my all-time favorite nights of being a sporting event. I know you were with the Blue Jays at that point in time. I don't even really know where to start, because with you, I think about a near Grand Slam home run in 2004 in Athens. And I can tell by your face, you can see that moment. I think about, I gotcha. I have the same ones too, honestly. I can think about our incredible win over the United States at Chase Field in Arizona in the World Cup of 2006. But here's one, because I think in our country, and I love the game, I love our country and all team sports. I've always wanted to ask somebody about this. 2011, Mexico, Pan American Games. Not even sure many people to this. You might know that we won in 2015, and it was frankly really sad that that game wasn't even on national television. If you can, and it's personal, take me back. You beat Mexico in the semifinal. You beat the United States 2-1 to win the gold medal. How high would that rank in Tim Leiper's best ever baseball moment?
It was really high. I realized how high it was when I got a letter in the offseason saying that we were being inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. And that's something I never expected. And that was a really cool letter. And I had been with the program, I really came in at a good time. I almost cherry picked coming in. It was when Justin Warner was coming up, when Russ Martin was coming up, when Jason Bay was coming up. And we had all of our really good players coming together in 2003 to make the Olympics in 2004. And that was a huge accomplishment because at the time, only 2 teams from the Americas actually got a chance to go to the Olympics. And to knock the United States out and be able to go to Athens was huge. But our highest finish internationally in World Cups and things of that nature was a bronze medal. And that was, I believe, in like 2009. And that was a huge accomplishment for us in Italy to go ahead and win the bronze medal there. But to go to the Pan Am Games and win a gold medal, to win it against the U.S., to do it the way we did it was just fantastic. The greatest thing about that is that we had a World Cup before that. We finished third again in Panama. We went immediately down to Mexico to play in the Pan Am Games. And it gave our team a chance to be together a lot. And just everything came together at the right time. I don't know if you remember this. Scotty Richmond pitched the last 2 1/3 innings, I think, for us in that game. He had been awful, just absolutely, and he'll tell you this. He was awful for like the whole month in the World Cup and in the Pan Am Games. He was terrible for whatever reason that night. Man, he was throwing bullets and he was throwing darts and he wasn't missing Cole Armstrong's glove, and it was just awesome. And if you remember, we won that game. Jimmy Van Osteren hit a single down the right field line. Tim Smith was on first base. It was one of those plays as a third base coach you absolutely dream for because the right fielder came in. Jimmy made a really good hard turn to second. And the right fielder came up to throw the ball to second base and was kind of undecided on what to do. The whole time that was going on, Tim Smith was running really hard. And so when the American outfielder threw the ball into second base, it gave me a chance to wheel Tim Smith home for what turned out to be the winning run and to win us our first gold medal game. So for me personally, it was a great thing for me as a third base coach because you're usually not involved in too many games. And when you are, it's usually not for the right reasons. But everything that could happen perfectly for us in that situation got us a gold medal, and it was great. And it was coming on the heels of a couple tough tournaments, like the World Baseball Classic in Toronto, where we ended up losing to Venezuela and not getting to the next game. That was kind of big. Just personally, like watching Greg Hamilton, watching Ernie Witt navigate this thing, it was to see the hard work they put in. I know the kind of people they are. To win that gold medal for me, like for them, that was like those were great moments and great memories for me. And to see your team up there on the gold medal platform, accepting their medals, why as a staff, you're back there and then they give you a thumbs up and acknowledge you. Like that was a really, really cool moment for me.
Tim, I just have one last one because I know Kel's got a million and we could keep you for 2 hours. It would be really easy. Greg Hamilton and what this man has done for baseball in our country. People aren't always familiar with that name. Needless to say, you have an incredible relationship. Is there any way to properly describe what that gentleman has done for baseball in this country?
Nobody can really understand how much he's done. And if you've gone through the program, and there's a million guys that are even now retiring from Major League Baseball that have come up through the national junior program and have been part of his leadership, they can tell you what it means. And I just think if you're a junior player in Canada, and you get a chance to go through this program, by the time you actually play professional baseball, you've played more professional baseball games already than any kid in the United States has done in terms of like going to instructional leagues, going to spring trainings, playing in world junior tournaments everywhere against like unbelievable competition. But, what he brings to people as a human being, as a professional, how he prepares you for life, outside baseball and your career going forward, you can't measure it whatsoever. It's a hidden gem. It kind of goes, behind the curtain here.
Right.
I think that's the way he really likes it. But man, he's one of the best baseball people. I've been involved in some really good baseball experiences. He's truly the best baseball person I've ever been around in my entire life.
I think on Lou's bucket list now, he's added talk to Tim Leiper about Canadian baseball. I have a feeling you two guys. I have a feeling you guys could have about a 10-hour amazing conversation. I just like to sit back and watch something like that. But I know that the fans are boards lighting up. I can't get to all the questions, so I'm going to try to tie a lot of different things together. Let's talk a little bit about hair standing up on arms. You must have been standing on first base for the bat flip in 2015, were you not?
Great moment. Yes, it was. And at the time of the play, and I've said this before, at the time of the play, I wasn't really needed to coach the bases. So for whatever reason, I just kind of moved towards the on-deck circle, towards the batter's box a little bit closer, just to watch Jose hit. And it was crazy. We had emptied the benches 2 or 3 times before that. It's a bad day in Canada when people are throwing full beer cans down on the field. So the stadium was crazy. But I just happened to sneak down and just watch Jose. I didn't watch Dyson deliver the ball. I didn't watch anything else. I just wanted to concentrate on him. And thank God I did, because that was the moment he hit it. And when he hit it, it was a no-doubter. I was completely locked in. It was a no-doubter. And then he stood there. And literally the words out of my mouth, I started to say, you got to and I was going to say, you got to run. You got to run. And then I thought to myself, Leap, you're an idiot. This is the greatest moment maybe in Canadian baseball history, except for the Joe Carter home run. I'm like, man, I'm just sat back and enjoyed it. And it was really cool. And it was great to take it all in. It was great I was really focused on Jose the whole time he did that. I thought it was really fitting that a guy who had carried this franchise on his back for as many years as he did was the guy that hit that home run. And it was great because it took us to the next round, which was huge. And at the time, we really, really thought we could win the World Series. We probably still do. And but it was great that it was him that did it. I was really happy for him after all he's gone through here.
Here's where I'm going to go with this little transition. My perception, and I don't think I'm wrong, is that although there have been many great players that have come through the Blue Jays organization over the years, what sticks with people? Well, Dave Stieb, Jesse Barfield, George Bell. Why? Because in the 80s, the Blue Jays were winning and the Blue Jays were special, right from coast to coast. I don't need to tell you that. You've lived it being with baseball. People love those guys from that time. Then in the 90s, they're winning World Series. You got everyone from the Hankey and Alomar and Carter and people love those guys because they won. The same thing could be said for that run that you guys had in those years. You go out and you get Tulowitzki, you get David Price. That sends a message to not only the team but the fans that we're here to win. And you did. And people won't forget Bautista. And they won't forget the players and Encarnacion, those types of guys. I think we're on the cusp, of having another group with the, Bo Bichette's and Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Teoscar Martinez. I think that's coming. It's too early to tell, but don't you kind of feel like it's on the verge of something special happening with this group? Maybe not this year, but maybe not this year, but in the next year or two?
Yeah, you absolutely feel that too. And it's all kind of lining up. It's funny now because you're looking at the way they play and you look at the weekend. It was a good weekend. And obviously they could have won yesterday as well. But you're starting to break this team down now to the little fine details, the things that used to be kind of cute with the guys growing up, the growing pains. The growing pains are kind of over. And now it's for real. And this team does have a chance to win. They're great guys. They're guys that are going to capture the city's heart because they're young, they're enthusiastic, they're super talented, and they're super good. And I'm looking at this perfect storm of maybe the border opening back up, maybe the stadium being back open, maybe seeing the team come, and to see this place to be ready to go in August and September this year. I mean, I can feel like it could be so crazy, and it could just capture the city's heart. at the absolute perfect time. I think it's a huge opportunity this year because I think never before has the American League East, except for the time that we were there, and we were really, really good. I think it's really winnable. I think when you get to the playoffs, just because there's so many pitching injuries, there's so many different factors that aren't involved in a quote unquote normal season, that I think that the opportunities are there. Obviously, I think they need to get a little bit better. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do at the trade deadline. But this team is definitely good enough to be in the mix, to win an American League East, to get deep into the playoffs. And it's going to be fun. It's fun for me as a fan, and it's really cool knowing some of these guys and knowing what they're about to go through. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's how you manage it, how you get all the pieces together, the risks that you have to take now to get a little bit better, even though they may not be popular at the time that you do them. Like your ability to evaluate your own system, who to trade, who to keep, who not to, what this team really needs to win a championship. This is going to be on this front office, and this is going to be on this team. And these are the moments that make or break like people. And I think this team has a chance to be really, really good and have a chance to do something really special in this city.
Last question. So my perception would be that now that Robbie Ray has just dialed up his game, Stripling's been really good, but Alek Manoah seems to me that he's a big X factor here, because I don't think that as good as they thought that he was, that he would be able to come in and dominate like he has. Now, there's going to be ups and downs. He's a rookie, so every game's not going to be like the last one we saw where his slider was so good. Like, good luck. Wade Boggs would have had a tough time with that slider that day. But he's given them a chance, I think, to strengthen the starting rotation enough that if you add maybe another pitcher or two to the bullpen, they've done a little bit here, you might be, I mean, they're 4 points out of the wild card. So you go from kind of thinking like, well, maybe this isn't the year. Let's not get seduced by a 500 type of team. Their best years are ahead. But now I'm starting to hear the executive guys like Mark Shapiro and them saying, well, we think we might be able to win this year. If you were a betting man, do you think, Tim, that there's going to make some moves and they're going to throw their name in the hat for this year? Or do you think this is still a setup year and they're not quite willing to trade future assets quite yet? What do you think?
That's going to be their big decision. And what they say and what they feel are probably two entirely different things, maybe not. I look at this. This is exactly the kind of team you bet on. If you look at us in 2015, we were 5.5 games out of a wild card, I think, at the time we made our trades. And the same goes for 2016. What you want to be is that team that's playing great going into the playoffs. And this team obviously can hit. And you look back at the things we did in 2015. And one thing with Alex Anthopoulos, like, there was nothing that was not obtainable. There wasn't a player that was not obtainable. So he shot for the moon, and we got David Price. And not only did we get David Price, we got Mark Lowe, we got LaTroy Hawkins. We made our bullpen stronger. We got an ace. We got an ace of David Price. We got Troy Tulowitzki. But it was the Ben Revere, and it was Cliff Pennington, and it was Darwin Barney. Like, these kind of like tighten these things up too. So it wasn't just the really big acquisitions we got. So there's a lot I think this team has to do. Again, I think the way they swing the bats, the way that there's times they've been able to navigate their way through a bullpen that hasn't been really good. Obviously, it's easy to say, let's go out and get bullpen pieces. We're going to be better. You know, for me, I think you need to think a little bit bigger than that. I think you definitely need the bullpen pieces. But why not go out and get a number one starter? Why not go get a Price or get a guy and really pay heavily for a guy that can actually take the pressure off your bullpen and make the guys that are returning from injury a little bit stronger, because you don't have to use them as much. So I think this is the perfect time to do it. It would lead them perfectly, whether they get the wild card, whether they win the division, it gets them into the playoffs playing really well. And I think one thing that might take away from being a coach for 5 years in the major leagues is I saw teams give up on themselves too much and underestimate themselves, probably more than I saw them overestimate themselves. So looking at this from a fan standpoint, you know, from a guy who's in the business, I look at this team and there's something really, really special here. And I would shoot the moon right now. And you know, a lot of these moves that you make that might be big moves are moves that can help you in the future too. Like, we were really good in 16 as well. We didn't get there the same way we did in 15. I think we underestimated ourselves in 17. So, but with some of these trades, man, it probably lasted 3 years for us. So when you have a chance in the major leagues, it's really difficult to win. Windows are really small. You may think you have it laid out perfectly, but you know what? The players see it differently. It's different. This team's good. This team can hit. They got a deep lineup. They can beat 8 pitching. Make it happen now for me. Like this is because, again, you don't want to see this go away, get close, and then never get there again. I think this is a good opportunity because the way the league is, it's so crazy with injuries. It's so crazy with teams that are, now there's no sticky stuff in the ball. Number one starters are not number one starters anymore. Like your guys are good. Your guys are clean. Go for it. That's my opinion. If I was doing it, this would be a good time to go for it. And it's not just for this year. It would carry over into next year as well.
The only downside to this is we don't have more time. I would love to just say, I would just love to talk to you for another 20 minutes. But we're very, very grateful that you would take time out of your day today to join us here on the Rod Pedersen Show. Tim, can't thank you enough. Thank you for coming on. I hope one day, at least if I'm ever invited back to do this show again, I would love to have you back because I feel like we could just keep talking. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great talking to you. Great meeting you. And it was an enjoyment. Great conversation. I can talk about Baseball Canada all day, too.
Well, hey, Peter lives in Mississauga. You guys should get together.
Tim, thanks for, in all sincerity, in closing, I know we got to run. Thanks for all you have done in the sport for our country. It is so appreciated. And you being an American, I think in some ways it means even more. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean it. I really do.
Yeah, thanks. Again, I'm just lucky to be part of something that Greg built, and I'm fortunate to do it. Thanks a lot. That means a lot.
All right, Tim Leiper, former first base coach of the Toronto Blue Jays, was standing on first base or just off first base for the big Jose Bautista backflip in 2015. Can you imagine having a front row seat for that?
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.